Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought provoking conversations. Supreme Court today said that the voters who are aggrieved by their names being deleted from Bihar's draft electoral roll could submit their claims with their Aadhaar card. Now, the court has also directed the Election Commission to give wider publicity to the list of deleted voters with reasons for their deletion via newspapers, radio, and TV media. Now, this was a bench of Justices Suryakant and Joy Malia Bagchi who have given the directions in an interim order. Now, the bench was hearing a plea challenging the June 24th EC decision to conduct the special intensive revision in Bihar. Now, the EC has to file a compliance report to the Supreme Court by August 22nd. The top court has deferred the hearing on pleas against the Bihar SIR. Now, during today's hearing, what did the top court ask the EC? Then why can't you disclose the names of people who have died, migrated, or shifted to other constituencies? And according to EC, such names have already been given to the political parties in the state. But this interim order, if you look at the two larger points coming from today's interim order, is that first, all the names of the 64 lakh voters who have been deleted will have to be published and given a wider publicity along with the reasons as to why they were deleted. Second is that Aadhaar now will be acceptable. So these were the two big worries which in the interim order do come as a relief. But what are the larger challenges? And also, this interim order comes in the middle of the big expose which was done by Rahul Gandhi. And today only there was an announcement that he's going on a Bihar Yatra from 17th onwards. Yesterday we were told, and according to the sources, that there was a closed door meeting where across 70 Lok Sabha constituencies, a similar investigation will be carried out on these 70 Lok Sabha seats, which we found in Karnataka's Mahadevpura. So on all these issues, we'll be talking to Supriya Shrinate, who is the social media head of the Congress. She joins us this evening. Supriya, thank you so much for joining on HW. It's always a pleasure having you on the program. But your first thoughts to the interim order which has been given by the Supreme Court, do you think it has come as a relief, or you feel that there could be something more sinister or nefarious coming in the way of the petitioners when the main order comes in?
Quite frankly, Neeluji, I want to set one thing very straight. And I think that's the very basis of all the arguments that we are making and the fight that we are fighting. You mentioned Rahul Gandhi ji. Yes, he's the leader of the opposition. And yes, he's spearheading this. And yes, he did throw a lot of data and proof at the Election Commission that Election Commission has no answers to. But this entire fight, and I say this with all honesty, I say this as an Indian, this entire fight is not Rahul Gandhi versus Narendra Modi. It's not BJP versus Congress. It is not even the opposition versus the government or treasury benches. It is actually the fight for that fundamental right, which is one man, one vote, the very basis of our constitution. I mean, what did the founding fathers give? The founding fathers gave each Indian, irrespective of their caste, creed, color, sex, language, region, no matter what, if you are an Indian of votable age, you are going to have the right to vote. I think that is the principle on which the foundations of our democracy is laid down upon. A clean voter list is the very basis and fundamental thing or a foundation required for free and fair elections. What is it that the opposition leaders or people at large asking? Why are people worried? People are worried because for a free and fair election, you need a clean voter list. For a clean voter list, you need to abide by the principle of one man, one vote. And that is being distorted. And when that is distorted, you are actually threatening the whole idea of India and the democracy that we so proudly claim to be ours. And I think that is what the fight is about. I do believe that the Supreme Court's decision today is quite far-reaching. I think it puts some things in perspective. It also puts the Election Commission of India in its place, that nobody can it can't be my way or the highway. It can't be what I want to do, and I'm not going to tell you I'm going to do this. What did the Supreme Court of India tell the Election Commission to do today? They said you have to publish the names of the 65 lakh people whose names have been deleted, which is nearly 8 to 9% of Bihar's voting population. They have also said you have to publish the reason why you deleted those names, and you have to do this in a digitally readable format. Not just that, they have also said Aadhaar has to be made one of the documents as proof. Now it is baffling that the same Election Commission before the Supreme Court just a few days back kept saying ad nauseum that we will neither give the names nor are we going to give you the reasons. We live in a democracy. There is accountability. You are a constitutional you're a constitutional institution. You are accountable for free and fair elections. You are accountable for maximum participation in those elections. Your drive cannot be to delete votes. 65 lakh people almost amounts to 8 to 9% of Bihar's voting population. You've made the dead alive. You've declared the alive dead. It can't go on, and you can't say, I'm not going to give you a reason. This is not your drawing room. This is not an arbitrary conversation that you can have. And I think to that extent, it's very welcome, but some very important things still need to be answered, and that fight
Yes.
still needs to be fought. And I think we'll do it. The Supreme Court will see logic in that. So I welcome
Okay.
the Supreme Court's decision. I think it in some ways stems the arrogance of the Election Commission. It also proves what Rahul Gandhi is essentially saying, which is that give us a digital readable voter list that can be publicly audited. What is wrong with that? I mean, how can that minimum transparency not be given, or not be ensured by the Election Commission?
Right, but Supriya, don't you think that this interim order could have been easily given by the Supreme Court on day one? Why it took so many days? I'm not saying that let's start questioning Justice Surikant or Justice Joy Malia Bakchi, but people are discussing this point on the social media that this interim order could have come much, much earlier on day one itself. So, do you
you
think
know
that this
i am
has?
not going to I'm not going to purge myself or be liable for defamation here of the highest court of the land, but I agree with that view. This could have happened earlier. However, I am going to be honest and candid enough to say that it takes a lot of proof to come to fore before the courts act. Some of what happens within the courtroom and some of what happens outside. I am not so sure that justice is oblivion to what's happening outside. And outside, you have the leader of the opposition getting up and giving you proof of how a mandate was stolen, how 1 lakh 250, 1 lakh, over 1 lakh votes were added in a constituency, which resulted in the election result flipping. You also had the leader of the opposition have tea with about 10-15 people who had been declared dead. But guess what? They're alive and they're here to claim their own voting right in the Supreme Court of India. So I think some of that feeds into justice, feeds into decision making. I'm not so sure that the Supreme Court of India or any judge just confines himself to the arguments being made there. The Supreme Court is the custodian of our rights in many ways. And I
Right, but
think what
I
happens
was
outside does reflect what happens within.
I've been following the SIR hearing very, very closely, Supriya, and you used the word oblivion. And Justice Surikant, in fact, yesterday only, I think it was Gopal Shankar Narayanan when he spoke about Rahul Gandhi's press conference that, in the midst of all this, there was also another expose which was done by Rahul Gandhi. So Justice Surikant says that I'm not aware of any such press conferences. And he did mention that line, and which is why, I was reminded by that line
That's
when
all
you
right.
used
I'm
it.
not going to make a personal comment on it, but that press conference was all over media, social media, mainstream media was forced to cover it because there was such compelling arguments and compelling data and proof that was put forward. So it's all right.
But do you think that this kind of a public movement and that created a sentiment around the court as well? Because we did see Rahul Gandhi launching the Vote Chori website, then people giving missed calls on the numbers which were projected on the social media website and also on the Congress's social media handles. That did have an impact. Do you think that this interim order could be an offshoot of this? Because there are many people, and I've been speaking to a number of experts who feel that this interim order is just to weaken this movement which has already begun and has taken a gigantic shape now.
No, I'll be honest with you. I don't want to comment on the interim order beyond what I have done. I think the Supreme Court is a respected court. I don't want to comment too much on it. But I cannot take away the credit from Rahul Gandhi for having made this a mass movement. The reality is that when on the 7th of this month, 7th of August, Rahul Gandhi went up on stage and he did that presentation for media at large, which was widely covered. And he wasn't speaking in lofty generalities. He gave proof after proof after proof. He spoke about house number 35. He spoke about house number 69. He spoke about how a brewery. He spoke about how 80 people are registered in a place, how 60 people are registered in a place, how 47 people are registered in a place, how Gurkirat Singh Dang has multiple votes, how Vishal Singh was voting across Maharashtra, UP, and Karnataka. Something similar was being done by a gentleman called Aditya Srivastav. He spoke about Shakun Devi, multiple votes in her name. And then I think what he successfully did was he gave the voice to the people of this country after having made that expose, which he did. And it was strenuous for us to make that expose. I can tell you, we did not have digital readable copies. We had to do it manually. It takes a lot of time to match one data after the other. The data that we had to scan through actually goes up to about 7 feet. That's how heavy that data is, weighs hundreds of kgs. Our team did it and did it very diligently. But what did it in turn do? Mainstream media went to those houses to find out if it was right. And guess what? It was right. There were 2 people living and there were 80 people registered in a place. That brewery is small enough to accommodate 4 people. There were 60 people registered in a place. People found out that not just Shakun Devi has 2, but she has 3 votes and so does her husband. And then what it unleashed was people from various parts of the country, the social media fervor that you're referring to, people found a reason, people found a voice, people found a reason to talk about it, because nobody in India is oblivious to the fact that you can have a normal existence if your right to vote is taken away. That's one of the most fundamental things that we as citizens can exercise. When we talk about checks and balances and when we say that governments need to be kept or reined in, that's the best way to do it. I mean, nobody reins in a government physically. You rein in a government with your power to vote. And I think then the kind of data that started coming up, the lone seat that the BJP won from Kerala, a lady says, 9 votes are registered in my house. I live here alone. You see the Bihar SIR. You have the deputy chief minister with 2 votes. You have the mayor with 2 votes. You have a MP Veena Devi with 2 votes. You have Bhiku Bhai Dalsania, who's a worker of the BJP, a very important person in the Bihar project for them. He voted for Amit Shah in Gandhinagar in Lok Sabha. He becomes a Bihar voter here. You have Dinesh Singh, an MLA who has multiple votes. So, and of course, then Muzaffarpur, a house at 269 votes. 247 votes in Jamui, and the list goes on and on and on, right? And then people started seeing that it is far more serious than what is being said. If the very basis of free and fair elections is going to be tampered with, then what semblance of democracy is going to be left? And the unfortunate thing amidst all of this is that the BJP came up with a very foolish argument that Rahul Gandhi is talking about multiple votes and multiple people, and that's what the SIR is looking to fix. Actually not. The SIR happened in Bihar, and despite that, you have so many anomalies. Despite that, you have people, in the district of Aurelia, I think there are 158,770 people who are declared dead. They're all alive. Those votes were cut. So I think what it has done is it has given a voice to the people of this country. It has given a voice to those who want to protect democracy. What it has also done is it has given people the belief that the power needs to reside in us and nobody can tamper with that power. And I think that was very, very important. I think we are now seeing multiple people on their own scanning through lists, coming out with data, making it public, which is very good, which is how it should be in a democracy. And if I may, on a lighter note, actually the BJP has joined our ranks, and the BJP is the one that's spreading our message far. The BJP is now questioning the election commission through their stupid foolish press conferences. Sorry, go ahead.
In fact, I was coming to Anurag Thakur's press conference yesterday, where he spoke about Kannauj, he spoke about Raebareli, Kolathur, and then he spoke about how there have been duplicate and fake voters here as well. Now, today I was watching Pawan Khera's press conference, where he said that now the ruling party also has similar grudges as what we have been saying. Now, what does it go to show? And Anurag Thakur, he took so many days to come up with an explanation like this, because as of now, Kiran Rijiju and several other leaders have just been dismissing Rahul Gandhi's expose. But after 6 days, yesterday, Anurag Thakur came up with these facts and figures, which I don't know how they appeared. I mean, what would you respond to?
Neelu ji, I want to say one thing here. What Anurag Thakur has done is commendable. We should thank him that he has actually emboldened the point of view, the voice of Rahul Gandhi. He is also saying that the Election Commission's voter list is not all right. There are gross anomalies with that list. And to that extent, I thank him for being brave. It's another thing that he's been foolishly brave. But let's come to what he's saying. What he's essentially saying is what Rahul Gandhi has said, that voter list is not clean. Voter list has many anomalies. That's what Anurag Thakur is saying. All right. He's actually coming up with proof about that. We took 6 months to scan one constituency because we don't have a digitally readable list. That leads me to my question. Who's giving this data to Anurag Thakur? And why is the Election Commission, because Anurag Thakur also happens to be a member of parliament, why is the Election Commission not asking Anurag Thakur to swear? They asked Rahul Gandhi for an oath. Why are they not asking Anurag Thakur to take an oath? Because he's also a parliamentarian. He should give an oath. He should join the EC and in their investigation. Why is he not doing that? You can't have two sets of rules for two sets of people. The Election Commission's credibility is in tatters. I mean, I have no qualms in saying this. The Election Commission, which is supposed to be the custodian of our right to vote, of our free and fair elections, is absolutely biased. It has become a puppet of the BJP, and that's for everybody to see. If only the Election Commission had sent a letter to Anurag Thakur, we would want you to take an oath and certify what you've said. I'd be very happy. But instead, it has raised a question. How did Anurag Thakur have access to digitally readable data where he could come up with this? And the argument that he's making is silly because Rahul Gandhi won with 390,000 votes. So no matter what you say, his winning margin was going to be over 3 lakhs with all the numbers that you're saying. Priyanka Gandhi won by 4 lakh votes. Even if you say 1 lakh, she would still win by 3 lakhs. You are in government. You are the one responsible. Go ahead and clean those voter lists. Don't make caste aspersions. I am grateful that you agree with Rahul Gandhi. I'm grateful you have joined his movement to clean up India's voting system.
Today, Pawan Khera also said that share the machine-readable format voter list of Varanasi. And many people are saying that now it's Varanasi versus Wayanad, and which is why he raised the Wayanad point. That's being discussed a lot on the social media. What would you really say now? I mean, here it's Priyanka.
I mean, there are people in Varanasi. There are people in Varanasi who've gone to Mr. Ajay Rao's house with sweets and with the dholes and have said that you were actually our MP because this mandate was stolen. So that's also one sentiment to look at because Mr. Modi barely scraped through. I mean, his winning margin, which was supposed to be 10 lakh, got up only is over a lakh. Barely. He was actually trailing in 2-3 rounds. So I think the one sentiment in Varanasi is actually Ajay Rai is a real MP and he actually won that election and that mandate was stolen. But I do believe that, jokes apart and all those things aside, I think it's a very, very serious concern that if electoral mandates are not going to be believable, if people's faith in democracy is going to be shaken because they don't know what is happening with their votes. I was speaking to somebody today and I must give you this anecdote. A family friend, I was doing a call with him and he said, you know what, when those parchis come before elections, this time a parchi came and it had some 2 other names and I didn't bother because I live in this address for the last 52 years. Some 2 other names came, I didn't bother. But he says, now when I see it, I'm presuming that some 2 other people must have voted by showing residents of my house. I said, exactly, they did. So I do believe that a lot of people are now talking about it. I have not received this kind of feedback on multiple issues that we've raised. I think the fact that Indians hold their democracy and their fundamental rights and their right to vote very, very closely is for all to see.
Right. No, I mean, one will have to give the credit for the kind of sentiment which has been generated by this Rahul Gandhi's expose and a wonderful presentation as well. Nobody can take the credit out of it. But Supriya, the big question now is that how would you harness this sentiment further? Because many times it happens, and it does happen that BJP tries to divert the attention by bringing in some issues, which some extraneous issues will come up, and suddenly the entire media, and including the alternate media, when the alternate media is also forced to pick up those issues. So what will you do now if the BJP adopts the same tactics? So is that the reason why you are thinking of a phased investigation into these 70 Lok Sabha constituencies so that you can keep the momentum on, which has been generated?
No, not just that. I mean, if you actually see our pipeline from the 17th of August, Rahul Gandhi and our allies in Bihar together launched the Voter Adhikar Yatra, and that's going to be big. We are going to be covering various districts, multiple constituencies there. Uh, and the whole idea of doing this is that people should not feel helpless. People need to realize that we stand by them, we stand for their right to vote. And now, with this thing being made public, I think some very basic questions are going to be answered. For instance, the election commission says, so this is 65 lakh voters who were deleted. There are 3 crore voters who've given their document for the first time, who after 2003 have had to give their document. We don't know where they stand. The election commission has put out not a single tweet to say that we have assessed the document of so many have met our parameters, so many have not. Today is the 14th of August. This deadline finishes on the 31st. What is happening to those 3 crore voters? So I think multiple questions are going to be raised, and I think it's important that we channelize this. Yes, there's going to be a phase-wise disclosure. We are working on some of the constituencies. It is also true that the voter adhikar yatra is being done with a view to keep this issue alive, to take this issue to the people of Bihar, because they are going to be the first who will be impacted as far as the SIR and its arbitrariness is concerned. So I think that's where we stand. We will keep the momentum going. And I can tell you one thing, Neelu, if you saw the elections of 2024, what was the one encompassing issue? It was that we've got to save the constitution of this country.
Yes.
That cannot be trampled with. The BJP tried to get Mujra and Mangal Sutra and aapki bhais chura lenge, aapki ladki ko le jayenge, all kinds of very polarizing political narratives. But eventually the election boiled down to that. So no matter what the BJP does, they may want to abolish, they may want to demolish a dargah somewhere, they may want to do some other issue somewhere. The reality is that you cannot be delusional. I was actually, just before I came to the show, I was reading the BJP president's tweet on the verdict of the Supreme Court today. And he almost sounds delusional. He's saying, this is no big deal, and the Congress is celebrating some fuzzy moral victory. I mean, you've got to be delusional to think that the EC has not been put in its place. Forget about Congress or BJP. And which is why I go back to making the argument that I made first. This is not BJP versus Congress. This is not Rahul Gandhi versus Narendra Modi. This is not opposition versus the government. This is about the very right to vote, the very essence of our constitution, which is one man, one vote. And I keep saying it in Hindi, and if you allow me, I will say it for one and at a time. आप गरीब हो, आप अमीर हो, आप इस देश के सबसे अमीर आदमी हो, या आप इस देश के सबसे गरीब आदमी हो, आप प्रधानमंत्री हो या आप दिहाड़ी मजदूर हो, it doesn't matter. You have that one right to vote, and that right is very, very powerful for people who exercise it. I mean, look at the names that are coming up in Bihar, in Orai. Whether it is Pinky Paswan, it's the Dalits, the Mahadalits, the Pichras, the Ati Pichras. They are at the receiving end of this, and for them, that right to vote is very, very precious. Far more precious to some people here in urban Delhi, or people who sit and chat politics but would like to take that long weekend off when there's a election day. For them, voting is almost a religious duty, and they feel threatened by this, and they're not going to take this lying down.
Are you hopeful that I don't know what the final order will be and how soon that final order will come, but the final voter list, which will be published on 30th of September, but do you think that all these 64 lakh names which have been deleted, now they're supposed to be putting up those names with the reasons, except for the people who are really dead, but apart from that, are you hopeful that all of the other people will find a mention of their names on the voter list? Because that's a worry, that despite this interim order, will these names appear on the final voter list? And if it doesn't, then the purpose is lost, whatever interim order is given.
I'm not a pessimist. I do believe that it is not going to be easy for the election commission to steal votes. Vote ki chori to ye nahi kar payenge, because now it's well exposed. Now it's before every Indian. I mean, is it not ironic that the same election commission, when we did the Mahadevpura numbers, we saw that the election commission had accepted, the CUET admit card, Shadi ke card, as address proof, and you're not accepting Aadhaar. The election commission itself, I think on the 18th of March this year, had said we will link Aadhaar to Epic. Now you're not even accepting that. So I do believe there are lots of anomalies. I'm not a pessimist. I think the people of this country will take this movement forward. Of course, we'll be standing by them, and people like Rahul Gandhi have staked a lot there. He's been that one lone, fearless voice, and I think what people really appreciated was that he spent time. He said that this was happening. He didn't come out without any proof. He had proof. He had hard-nosed data that backed him, and the results is for all to see. So I'm not a pessimist. I think the people of this country are not going to take it lying down if their votes are going to be stolen, and if mass stealing of votes happen at that level. Look, people may once in a while be forgiving of a government or be forgiving of the misgovernance. People are not going to take their democracy being taken for a right lying down, and which is why the 2024 elections give me a lot of hope. The mandate there, BJP was talking about 400 plus. They are short of a majority. They're at 240. I mean, you look at the allies of the BJP. They're not talking in strong fervor that, okay, this is right. They're also maintaining a studious silence around some of those very gritty issues.
You were talking about the credibility of the election commission just a short while back, and looking at the slogans which were heard in the parliament, outside parliament, vote chor, gaddi chor. That has almost become like a war cry just in few days' time. Uh, what about the credibility of the prime minister, his image? Of course, like vote chore has just gone viral, but what when you talk about the credibility of the election commission, what about the credibility of Prime Minister Narendra Modi at this point of time because of this
I will
campaign?
I will echo the line that my leader said, and I completely 100% strongly believe in it. नरेंद्र मोदी इज द प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ दिस कंट्री क्योंकि वोट चोरी हुई थी. वोट चोरी नहीं हो सकती, वो प्रधानमंत्री नहीं बन सकते थे. For all practical purposes, the reality is that he is the prime minister of this country because he won those additional 25 seats. 25 seats here and there, he would not have been the prime minister. That's the reality. And like Rahul Gandhi says, you give us digitally readable data from across constituencies, and we will prove that Mr. Modi is an illegitimate prime minister. He does not enjoy the real mandate of the people. You give us that data, and which is why the Election Commission, along with the BJP, is not giving data. The reality, Neelu ji, is that the Election Commission has no credibility whatsoever. Just like the ED, just like the CBI, just like the income tax, it has become a puppet in the hands of the BJP. But what about the Prime Minister? Your studious silence on something as big as, the very fundamental of our democracy, free and fair elections, is deafening. Your conspicuous silence is deafening. The fact that 300 MPs, 300 elected members of parliament wanted to march to the election commission and you did not have the guts to let them march tells you how shelter scared you are. That's the reality. 300 MPs were being treated as if they were dreaded terrorists. I don't know why they were stopped. There was barricading. They were stopped by sheer brute force. What was all that about? And the fact that women MPs were being physically stopped. What was all that about? Why were they arrested? Why were they detained? I mean, 83-year-old Congress president who's been in public life for 60 years, Rahul Gandhi, a five-time MP. So I am just saying that a lot of what this government is doing is now knee-jerk. I do believe they believe that their days are numbered. I do believe that they believe that vote chori is out in the open. It's before the country. The country understands that this is not a mandate that they voted for. That mandate has been stolen. So I agree with Rahul Gandhi 100%. You give us a digitally readable list, we will tell you Mr. Modi has no business being the prime minister of this country.
So my last question to you, Supriya, is that what is the final outcome of this vote chori campaign? Do we see elections being countermanded? Do we see you all going to the courts, getting wherever the investigations are happening? And I'm just going by the numbers which you have given, that 70 Lok Sabha constituencies, the entire India bloc is looking at investigating the voter rolls in all these constituencies. So what could be the final shape of this entire investigation, which will unfold in the coming days?
Look, the final shape is not a war we have waged. The final shape will have to be that we need to go back to the very basis of our constitution, the very principle, the very foundation on which our democracy is built, which is one man, one vote. Any Indian who is of voting age should have the right to vote. And even if one Indian is denied that right, it is a counterproductive exercise that the Election Commission is looking at doing. I do believe that this is going to put an end to this false narrative that the BJP builds up. There's an election in Bengal, intrusion and Ghuspatia comes in. There is an election in Delhi. How many Ghuspatias have you arrested? I mean, that's the question. Have you arrested a single person who has crossed our borders? Have you arrested a single person who's living here illegally? Not one. Not one. And that tells you that every time there's an election, this rhetoric will come back once the elections are over. But I mean, do you really think, do you think people of India are going to buy this argument? I'm not so sure about that.
Well, what bigger irony than you just spoke about that people are worried about one man and one vote, but BJP is worried about one nation, one election. So that's
So a
basically
lot
an
of people,
irony.
by the way, believe a lot of people, by the way, believe that that exercise is being pushed so as to ensure that this can be done easily. So as to ensure that a mandate can be stolen far more easily than ever. And that, a lot of people believe that, and I'm not averse to that school of thought at all.
Many just on the end note, Supriya, many people are saying that with the kind of investigation which is going to open up as far as the vote rigging is concerned, maybe we could see a situation which we saw unfolding in Sri Lanka or Bangladesh, where the
No.
electoral officers being imprisoned. You don't foresee any such
India's
situation?
look. I belong to a political party, and we believe in the principles of Mahatma Gandhi. We are India's oldest political party. We fought the war of India's independence with peace and ensured that the British left this country. We drove them out. So I have a lot of faith in India's democracy. We are a peace-loving nation. We are a nation that believes in our values. We believe in the fabric of our country. I don't see any of that happening. But yes, I do believe that anybody who tampers with the mandate of the people will have to face the law of the land. There is a difference in what those people are saying, the fear mongering that is happening, versus what we are saying. There is a law of the land. If you violate electoral mandates, if you tamper with people's ability to vote or their electoral mandates, you will have to pay a price before the law of this country. No matter where you are, no matter where you settle down, no matter where you or when you retire, if you are going to tamper with the very basis of our democracy, be ready to pay a price for this. I do believe India is an extremely peace loving nation. We abide by our laws. Whatever we talk about is in the realm of those laws.
Well, I must congratulate you also, Supriya, for putting up a wonderful social media campaign
Thank
on
you.
this particular expose and the kind of memes, the kind of small stories which are coming up. People are really loving it. But thank you so much. Always a
Thank you.
pleasure having you on the program. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Niruji. Thanks a lot.